Tales of Veldrith, created by Matty Taylor. Book 5, The Heart of Magic.
Chapter 1. Shadows Stir.
The soft murmur of Jorvik's bustling streets greeted the dawn, but for Eira Thorne, the morning brought no solace. She stood at the edge of the city walls, gazing toward the distant mountains where the Sunforge lay dormant. The memory of Vestinus's sacrifice lingered in her mind like an open wound. The auroral lens was gone, yet its fragments had left scars across the land, on the ley lines, on the people, and on her.
Eira,
A voice called from behind. She turned to see Leona, her companion in chaos and one of the few people she trusted fully. Leona's grin was faint, her sharp eyes betraying a hint of concern.
the council's waiting for you. Something about another ley line disturbance.
Eira nodded, adjusting the sword at her side.
Let me guess. They think it's more cultists.
Doesn't sound like the solar cult.
Leona replied, falling in step beside her as they descended the stairs from the wall.
The reports mention strange fogs, crops dying overnight, people going mad. Not exactly their style.
Eira frowned.
So what are we dealing with?
Hopefully we'll find out before it tries to kill us.
Leona said lightly, though her tone lacked its usual humour. The council chamber buzzed with tension. Elders Hrothgar and Ingrid stood at the head of the room, their expressions grim. Around them, a mix of city officials and guards murmured in low voices. When Eira and Leona entered, the room fell silent. Hrothgar gestured for them to step forward.
Eira, you've read the reports?
I've skimmed them.
Eira said.
Another disturbance near the ley lines. What's different this time?
Ingrid spoke, her tone clipped.
The village of Vaelrik. What was once thriving farmland is now a barren wasteland. The people are gone, or worse, they've changed.
Changed how?
Eira asked.
Witnesses describe them as hollow.
Ingrid said, her expression tightening.
Their eyes blackened, their movements erratic, as though something has taken hold of them.
Leona leaned against the table, her eyebrow raised.
Sounds like a bedtime story meant to scare kids.
This is no story.
Hrothgar said sharply.
The disturbance is spreading. Vaelrik is near one of the ley line nodes. If this reaches the city, Jorvik could suffer the same fate.
Eira exchanged a glance with Leona.
What do you need from us?
Investigate.
Ingrid said.
Find the source of this disturbance and put an end to it before it spreads further.
By midday, Eira and Leona were on the road, joined by a small contingent of city guards. The path to Vaelrik was lined with dense forests, their towering trees casting long shadows that stretched across the dirt trail. The air grew colder as they approached the village, a biting chill that seemed out of place for the season.
Ever notice how these things never happen somewhere pleasant?
Leona muttered, pulling her cloak tighter around her shoulders. Eira didn't respond. Her focus was on the horizon, where dark clouds loomed unnaturally low over Vaelrik. The sky itself seemed to twist and writhe, as though the air were alive. The first signs of trouble appeared on the outskirts of the village. Crops stood withered and blackened in the fields, their stalks crumbling to ash at the slightest touch. Livestock lay dead in the pens, their eyes sunken and their bodies twisted in unnatural ways.
Whatever did this?
Eira said grimly.
It's not natural.
Leona knelt beside one of the animals, her expression uncharacteristically serious.
This isn't just decay. It's like something drained the life out of them.
When they entered Vaelrik, the silence was deafening. Homes stood abandoned, their doors swinging open in the wind. The cobblestone streets were littered with overturned carts and broken pottery, as though the villagers had fled in haste. But there were no signs of where they had gone.
This place feels wrong,
one of the guards muttered, his hand on the hilt of his sword. Eira held up a hand to silence him. She listened carefully, her senses sharp. At first, there was nothing, just the eerie stillness of the empty village. Then, faintly, she heard it. A low, whispering sound like voices carried on the wind.
Do you hear that?
She asked. The others nodded, their eyes darting nervously. Leona frowned.
Whispering shadows. That's what the villagers back in Jorvik mentioned.
The whispering grew louder as they approached the village square. At its centre stood a well, its stone walls cracked and weathered. The air around it shimmered faintly, as though distorted by heat. Eira approached cautiously, her hand on her sword.
There's something in the well.
As they neared the well, the whispering intensified, becoming a cacophony of overlapping voices. The guards stepped back, their faces pale, but Eira pressed forward. She peered over the edge of the well, and what she saw made her blood run cold. A dark, writhing mass churned at the bottom of the well, its surface dotted with glowing tendrils of black and violet light. It pulsed rhythmically, as though alive, and the whispers seemed to emanate from it.
What in the name of the gods is that?
Leona whispered, standing a safe distance away. Before Eira could answer, the mass surged upward, a tendril of shadow lashing out with lightning speed. It struck one of the guards, wrapping around his arm. He screamed as the life drained from his body, his skin turning grey and brittle before he crumbled into ash.
Fall back!
Eira shouted, drawing her sword. The shadow mass surged out of the well, taking a humanoid form that towered over them. Its body was featureless and black as night, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. The whispers became deafening, a chorus of pain and rage. Leona hurled an explosive vial at the creature, the blast momentarily dispersing its form.
Tell me you've got a plan,
She shouted.
We fight.
Eira said, her voice firm.
And we win.
The creature struck with terrifying speed, its tendrils lashing out at the group. Eira dodged and countered, her blade cutting through the shadows, though the strikes seemed to do little more than slow it down. Leona stayed at a distance, using her agility to avoid the creature's attacks, while tossing vials of alchemical fire to weaken it. The remaining guards fought bravely but fell quickly, their weapons useless against the creature's shifting form. Eira gritted her teeth, determined not to let their sacrifice be in vain.
Eira,
Leona called out.
the ley lines, it's drawing power from them.
Eira glanced at the glowing tendrils and realized Leona was right. The creature wasn't just a threat. It was a manifestation of something much worse. With a powerful strike, Eira severed one of the creature's tendrils. It recoiled, its form flickering as if destabilized. Sensing it was outmatched, the shadow creature let out a piercing wail before retreating into the forest, disappearing into the darkness. The remaining guards staggered to their feet, their faces pale and their breaths ragged.
What in hell's name was that thing?
One of them asked.
I don't know,
Eira said, her grip tightening on her sword.
but it's tied to the ley lines, and it's not done with us yet.
As the group regrouped, Leona knelt by the well, studying the residue left behind by the creature.
This isn't just shadow magic. This is something older, something worse.
Eira looked out into the forest where the creature had fled.
We need to find out who or what is behind this.
Leona stood, her expression grim.
Then we're going to need help?
Eira nodded, her thoughts drifting to the Sunforge, to the ley lines, and to the memory of a crimson figure who had once stood beside her.
Fest in us.
She murmured under her breath.
Where are you? Chapter 2. Echoes of the Past.
The journey back to Jorvik was sombre. Eira, Leona, and the surviving guards rode in silence, their thoughts heavy with the memory of the shadow creature. The creature's whispers still seemed to linger in the air, a haunting reminder of the strange and ancient power they had encountered. Eira tightened her grip on the reins, her mind racing. She had faced countless threats before, the solar cult, rogue magic users, and monsters that defied logic, but this felt different. The shadow wasn't just a force of destruction. It felt calculated, deliberate. It had retreated as though it had something greater planned. Leona broke the silence.
You're thinking about him, aren't you?
Eira didn't respond immediately, her gaze fixed on the horizon.
It's hard not to.
Leona sighed.
Vestinus gave everything to stop the auroral lens. If he were here now, well, he'd probably be telling you to get out of your head and focus on the next move.
A faint smile tugged at Eira's lips, though it didn't reach her eyes.
If he were here, we wouldn't be dealing with this.
Maybe,
Leona said.
or maybe this was always coming.
By the time they reached Jorvik, the city was abuzz with tension. Word of the shadow creature had already spread, and the council chamber was packed with worried officials and anxious citizens. Eira and Leona barely had time to catch their breath before being summoned to speak. Elder Hrothgar leaned forward, his expression grim.
Tell us what you found.
Eira stepped forward.
Brenwick is gone. Whatever took it, it's tied to the ley lines. We encountered a creature, something I've never seen before. It wasn't just destroying, it was consuming.
The room erupted into murmurs. Elder Ingrid raised a hand, silencing the crowd.
This is no coincidence. The ley lines have been unstable since the Sunforge incident. If this shadow creature is tied to them, we're all in danger.
Leona spoke up, her voice sharp.
We need to act now. The creature retreated, but it's still out there. And if it's feeding on the ley lines, it's only going to get stronger.
Hrothgar frowned.
What would you have us do? Send the guard after it? If it wiped out Brennick, what chance do we have?
Eira's gaze hardened.
We don't have a choice. If we wait, more villages will fall.
After the meeting, Eira and Leona retreated to the council chamber's private library, poring over maps and ancient texts. The creature's connection to the ley lines gnawed at Eira, its implications growing more dire with each passing moment. Leona flipped through a dusty tome, muttering under her breath.
Ley lines, void magic, shadow constructs. None of this should be possible. The ley lines are supposed to be a source of life, not this.
Eira leaned against the table, her arms crossed.
What if it's being corrupted? The creature, it didn't feel natural. It felt ancient.
Leona hesitated, her brow furrowing.
There is one possibility. Something tied to the ley lines' origins. It's old, dangerous, and probably the last thing we want to deal with.
Eira straightened.
What is it?
Leona closed the book with a snap.
The Abyssal Order. They were a sect that believed the ley lines could be inverted, turned into conduits for destruction instead of creation. They were wiped out centuries ago, or so the stories say. But if they're back...
Then they're the ones behind the shadow creature.
Eira finished, her voice grim.
And they're only getting started.
That night, Eira couldn't sleep. The shadow's whispers haunted her dreams, pulling her into dark corridors where the walls seemed alive with writhing tendrils. She woke in a cold sweat, her heart racing. A knock at the door startled her. Leona entered, her expression tense.
You're not going to like this.
Eira sat up, rubbing her temples.
What is it now?
Another disturbance.
Leona said.
This time near the edge of the Valewood.
The Valewood?
Eira's blood ran cold. The cursed forest had a dark reputation, even among those who dealt with the strange and dangerous.
What's happening?
Leona hesitated.
People are seeing things. Shadows moving in the trees, voices calling to them. A patrol disappeared last night. Whatever's there, it's spreading fast.
Eira swung her legs off the bed, already reaching for her sword.
We leave at first light.
By midday, Eira and Leona stood at the edge of the Valewood, the cursed forest stretching before them like a dark, gnarled sea. The air was thick and heavy, the sunlight dimmed by an unnatural haze. The guards who had accompanied them looked uneasy, their hands resting on their weapons.
This place gives me the creeps,
One muttered.
Why does it feel like the trees are watching us?
They probably are.
Leona said dryly, though her humour was half-hearted. She turned to Eira.
What's the plan?
Eira scanned the forest, her instincts screaming that danger lurked within.
We go in, find the source of the disturbance, and stop it before it spreads. Stay close and keep your wits about you.
The group entered the forest, the oppressive atmosphere closing in around them. The whispers began almost immediately, faint at first, but growing louder with every step.
Do you hear that?
One guard asked, his voice trembling. Eira nodded, her grip tightening on her sword.
Stay focused. It's trying to unnerve us.
Deeper into the forest, they found the remains of the missing patrol. Their bodies were twisted and blackened, their faces frozen in expressions of terror. Eira knelt beside one of them, her jaw tightening.
It's the same as Brenwick.
Leona inspected the ground, her sharp eyes narrowing.
These tracks, they lead further in. Whatever did this, it's still here.
The whispers grew louder, swirling around them like a living thing. Shadows danced between the trees, too fast to track. The guards drew their weapons, their fear palpable. Then the creature emerged. It was larger this time, its form more defined. Dark tendrils writhed around its humanoid shape, and its glowing eyes radiated malice. The whispers became a roar, filling the air with an almost unbearable pressure.
Stand your ground!
Eira shouted, charging at the creature. Her blade glowed faintly as she struck, cutting through one of its tendrils. The creature recoiled, its form flickering like a shadow in firelight. Leona hurled an alchemical bomb, the explosion dispersing part of the creature's mass.
This thing's stronger than the last one.
We can still take it.
Eira growled, striking again.
Focus on its core.
The battle was fierce, the creature lashing out with tendrils of shadow that drained the life from anything they touched. One guard was caught, his scream echoing as he crumbled into ash. Eira and Leona fought with everything they had, their movements precise and unyielding. Finally, with a coordinated strike, they severed the creature's core, causing it to dissolve into black mist. As the forest fell silent, Eira noticed something glowing faintly in the creature's remains. She picked it up, a fragment of obsidian etched with strange runes. Leona peered over her shoulder.
That's abyssal writing. It's definitely them.
Eira's jaw tightened.
Then they're not just back. They're getting stronger.
Leona nodded grimly.
And if they can create creatures like that, we're in for a fight unlike anything we've seen.
Eira stared into the forest's dark depths, her resolve hardening.
Then we find them, and we stop them, no matter the cost. Chapter 3. The Abyss Beckons.
The trek back to Jorvik was slower this time. The battle in the Valewood had cost them, more lives lost, more unanswered questions lingering in the air. Eira carried the fragment of obsidian in her pack, its weight far greater than its size. The runes etched into its surface whispered to her in the quiet moments, a faint chorus of voices that sent chills down her spine. Leona walked beside her, silent for once, her usually sharp tongue subdued. Behind them, the remaining guards kept their eyes on the horizon, as though the shadows of the Valewood might rise again to chase them. When the city gates came into view, Eira felt a fleeting sense of relief, but it was quickly overshadowed by the burden of what lay ahead. The council chamber was tense, the air charged with the weight of bad news. Eira placed the obsidian fragment on the table, its dark surface gleaming faintly under the lantern light.
This is what's left of the creature in the Valewood,
she said.
It's tied to the ley lines, and to something older than anything we've faced before.
Elder Ingrid leaned forward, her sharp eyes narrowing as she examined the fragment.
Abyssal runes. I thought the Order was wiped out centuries ago.
So did I.
Eira replied.
But they're back. The creature in the Valewood was stronger than the one in Brenwick. They're growing bolder.
Hrothgar frowned, his hands gripping the edges of the table.
If the Abyssal Order is behind this, then they're using the ley lines to fuel their magic. They'll need nexuses to continue their work.
Leona, standing at the back of the room, crossed her arms.
And there are plenty of those scattered across Veldrith. They're probably setting up shop at the biggest ones.
Ingrid shot her a sharp glance.
And what would you suggest we do about it? Mobilize the entire city guard? Leave Jorvik undefended?
Eira spoke up, her voice firm.
We don't have the luxury of staying defensive. If we wait, the Abyssal Order will only grow stronger. We need to find their nexuses and destroy their footholds.
And how do you propose to do that?
Ingrid asked.
You don't even know where they are.
Leona smirked.
Oh, I might have an idea.
After the meeting, Eira and Leona returned to the private library in the council hall. Leona pulled an ancient scroll from her satchel, its edges frayed and its surface covered in faded symbols.
Found this a while back, in a ruin near the shattered pinnacle.
She said, spreading it out on the table.
Didn't mean much to me at the time, but now...
Eira studied the map, her brow furrowing. It depicted the ley line network of Veldrith, with glowing points marking significant nexuses. Many were places she already knew, Jorvik, the Sunforge, but others were in remote and dangerous regions.
Here.
Leona said, pointing to a nexus near the southern border of the Valewood.
This one lines up with the reports of disappearances from the surrounding villages. If the Abyssal Order is active, they're probably there.
Eira nodded, her expression resolute.
Then that's where we go next.
Leona hesitated, her tone uncharacteristically serious.
Eira, if we keep chasing these shadows, we're going to get in over our heads. The Abyssal Order isn't like the Solar Cult. They're not interested in power for its own sake. They want to break the world.
Eira's jaw tightened.
Then we'll stop them before they can.
The journey to the southern nexus was grueling. The road gave way to rough terrain, and the air grew colder as they ventured deeper into the untamed wilds. Eira led the way, her sword strapped across her back and her eyes scanning the horizon. Leona followed, her sharp gaze catching every detail of their surroundings. By the third day, the signs of the Abyssal Order's presence became undeniable. The once lush forest had withered, its trees blackened and twisted. The ground beneath their feet was cracked and dry, as though the life had been drained from the land. Leona knelt by a dead tree, her fingers brushing its bark.
This isn't natural,
She muttered.
It's like the ley lines themselves are bleeding.
Eira glanced at the horizon, where a faint, dark glow pulsed in the distance.
We're close.
They reached the nexus at nightfall. It was a desolate clearing, the air thick with the hum of corrupted energy. At its centre stood a crude altar, surrounded by robed figures chanting in a language that made Eira's skin crawl. The glow of the ley line pulsed beneath them, its light distorted and sickly.
Looks like we found our culprits,
Leona whispered, her hand drifting toward her satchel of explosives. Eira studied the cultists, her mind racing. There were at least a dozen of them, their robes marked with glowing abyssal runes. At the centre of the group stood a figure taller than the rest, their hood obscuring their face. The energy radiating from them was palpable.
That's their leader.
Eira said.
If we take them out, the others will fall apart.
Leona grinned.
You take the leader. I'll handle the fireworks.
Eira nodded.
Be careful.
Leona's explosives struck first, the deafening blasts shattering the stillness of the night. The cultists scattered, their formation broken as flames erupted around them. Eira charged into the chaos, her sword flashing in the dim light. She cut through the nearest cultist, their body dissolving into ash as her blade struck true. The others turned to face her, their chanting shifting into guttural shouts. The leader stepped forward, their voice calm amidst the chaos.
You cannot stop the abyss, child. It is inevitable.
Eira didn't answer. She lunged, her blade aimed at their chest, but the leader moved with unnatural speed, their hand raised to summon a barrier of shadow that deflected her strike.
You fight well,
the leader said, their voice dripping with condescension.
but you do not understand what you're up against.
Eira gritted her teeth, her blade glowing faintly as she struck again. This time, the barrier cracked and the leader staggered. Meanwhile, Leona weaved through the chaos, hurling explosive vials at the cultists who tried to regroup. One of them lunged at her, a dagger in hand, but she dodged gracefully, delivering a kick that sent them sprawling.
Eira,
She called out.
I can't keep them off forever.
Just hold them.
Eira shouted, her focus on the leader. With a final powerful strike, Eira shattered the leader's defenses. Her blade pierced their chest, and they gasped, their form flickering like a shadow caught in the wind.
You think this ends with me?
They whispered, their voice fading.
The abyss is eternal.
As their body dissolved into mist, the remaining cultists fled, their morale shattered. As the clearing fell silent, Eira approached the altar. The corrupted ley line still pulsed beneath it, its glow dim but steady. On the altar lay another fragment of obsidian, its surface etched with runes that seemed to pulse with a faint light. Leona joined her, breathing heavily.
Another piece.
She said, her voice heavy with dread.
How many of these things are there?
Too many.
Eira said, picking up the fragment. The whispers began again, faint but insistent. Leona frowned.
What's our next move?
Eira stared into the distance where the corrupted glow of the ley line faded into the night.
We keep fighting. And we don't stop until the abyssal order is gone.
Leona nodded, though her expression was grim.
Let's hope we survive long enough to see that happen.
Chapter 4. The Shadow's Warning. The road back to Jorvik was eerily quiet. The faint whispers emanating from the obsidian fragment seemed to seep into the silence, their cadence growing stronger the longer Eira carried it. She kept the fragment wrapped in thick cloth and secured in her satchel, but its presence was impossible to ignore. Even Leona, who typically filled the air with her sharp remarks, was uncharacteristically subdued. By the time the city gates came into view, Eira's nerves were fraying. The fragment's whispers had started to form words, disjointed and faint, but unmistakable.
Eira.
Failure.
The abyss calls.
She shook her head, trying to block it out. She wasn't sure how much of it was real and how much was her imagination, but it didn't matter. She needed answers. The council chamber was still and dimly lit when Eira and Leona returned. Elder Hrothgar and Ingrid sat at the long table, their faces lined with worry. Eira placed the wrapped fragment on the table with care, as though it might burst into flames.
Another piece.
She said, her voice clipped.
The abyssal order is using these to corrupt the ley lines. If we don't stop them soon, the damage will spread beyond anything we've seen.
Ingrid unwrapped the fragment, her sharp eyes narrowing as the faint runes pulsed faintly.
This is abyssal writing.
She murmured.
A language older than recorded history. Few can read it, and fewer still can survive its influence.
Leona crossed her arms.
Well, it's whispering to Eira. That seems like a good reason to toss it in the nearest volcano.
Ingrid shot her a withering look.
If only it were that simple. Abyssal magic is tied to the ley lines. Destroying the fragment without disrupting its connection could amplify the corruption.
Hrothgar stroked his beard.
Then we must find a way to sever the connection. The ley lines themselves must be stabilized, or the abyssal order will always have a foothold.
And how do we do that?
Eira asked, her tone sharp.
Because every time we face one of these creatures, it gets stronger. We're running out of time.
Ingrid hesitated, her gaze flicking to Hrothgar. He nodded, and she turned back to Eira.
there is someone who might help.
Later that evening, Ingrid led Eira and Leona to the council library's deepest chamber, a room filled with dusty tomes and forgotten artifacts. At its centre sat an ancient gilded mirror, its surface dark and rippling like water.
This is the mirror of Eira,
Ingrid said.
It was used centuries ago to commune with powerful beings tied to the ley lines. If anyone can interpret the fragment's whispers, it would be him.
Who's him?
Leona asked warily. Ingrid hesitated.
Vestinas?
Eira's breath caught.
Vest in us? He's alive.
Not exactly.
Ingrid said.
His essence merged with the ley lines after the Sunforge incident. His body is gone, but his spirit lingers, scattered and weakened, but still tied to the flow of magic.
Eira stepped closer to the mirror, her voice trembling.
And you think we can reach him?
It's dangerous,
Ingrid warned.
The abyssal corruption will make the connection unstable, but if anyone can guide us, it's him.
Eira didn't hesitate.
Do it.
The ritual to activate the mirror of Eira was intricate, requiring runes drawn with crushed gemstones and spells chanted in a language even Ingrid struggled to pronounce. The air grew thick with magic as the mirror's surface began to ripple, its dark depths shimmering with faint light.
Focus on him,
Ingrid instructed.
The connection will be weak. Don't let the whispers distract you.
Eira stepped forward, her reflection warping and twisting as the mirror pulled her in. The world around her dissolved, replaced by a vast expanse of swirling light and shadow. She felt the ley lines coursing beneath her feet, their energy humming in rhythm with her heartbeat. Then she saw him. Vestinus stood in the distance, his form translucent and flickering like a flame. His crimson skin was veined with glowing light, his once fierce presence now subdued and spectral. When his eyes met hers, a faint smile crossed his face. "Eira," he said, his voice echoing, "you've been busy."
Vestinus,
Eira said, her voice wavering.
you're alive.
"In a manner of speaking," he replied. "The ley lines sustain me, but I am no longer whole. The Sunforge took everything I was." Eira took a step closer.
The abyssal order is back. They're using the ley lines to corrupt the land. And they're using these fragments to do it.
She held out the obsidian shard, its whispers growing louder in his presence. Vestinus's expression darkened. "The abyssal order seeks to invert the ley lines, turning them into conduits of destruction. If they succeed, Veldrith will collapse into shadow."
How do we stop them?
Eira asked.
The creatures are getting stronger. And the fragments...
"The fragments are anchors," Vestinus interrupted. "Each one binds the corruption to the ley lines. Destroying them without severing the connection will only worsen the damage." Leona's voice echoed faintly in the distance.
Then how do we sever the connection?
Vestinus's form flickered. "There is only one way, the heart of the ley lines. It is the origin point of all magic in Veldrith, buried deep within the earth. If you reach it, you can reset the ley lines and cut off the abyssal order's power." Eira frowned.
And where do we find it?
"The path will reveal itself as the fragments are gathered," Vestinus said. "But be warned, the abyssal order will not let you reach it, and their leader, Vaelrik Thorne, is far more dangerous than you realize." Before Eira could respond, the whispers around her turned into a roar. The light of the ley lines flickered, and the darkness began to close in. "The abyssal corruption!" Vestinus shouted. "It's trying to sever the connection. Eira, you must." His voice cut off as the shadows engulfed him. The light vanished, and Eira was thrown backward, her vision consumed by darkness. Eira woke on the cold floor of the library, Ingrid and Leona standing over her. The mirror's surface was dark once more, its connection severed.
What happened?
Leona asked, helping her up.
I spoke to him.
Eira said, her voice hoarse.
Vest in us. He told me how to stop the abyssal order.
And?
Ingrid prompted.
We need to reach the heart of the ley lines.
Eira said.
But to find it, we have to gather the fragments. All of them.
Leona groaned.
Of course we do. Why is it never simple?
Eira's gaze hardened.
Because saving the world never is. Chapter 5. Into the Fractured Wilds.
Eira tightened the straps of her pack as the early morning light filtered through the canopy of Jorvik's outer woods. The whispers from the obsidian fragment had grown quieter since the ritual with the Mirror of Illyria, but they hadn't disappeared. If anything, they seemed to lie in wait, ready to strike when her mind wandered. Leona stood nearby, fiddling with her satchel of alchemical vials.
So, let me get this straight.
She said, her voice cutting through the stillness.
We're heading to the middle of nowhere to find the next fragment of these cursed rocks, so we can piece together a map to the mythical heart of the ley lines.
More or less.
Eira replied, adjusting the sword strapped across her back.
Vest in us said the fragments are anchors for the Abyssal Order's corruption. If we destroy them, we weaken their grip on the ley lines.
And if we don't?
Leona asked, her tone light, but her eyes serious.
Then Veldrith becomes a wasteland.
Eira said bluntly.
The Order will use the ley lines to invert magic itself. Nothing will survive.
Leona whistled softly.
No pressure then.
The map Leona had recovered from the ruins near the shattered pinnacle marked the next fragment's location in the fractured wilds, a treacherous stretch of untamed wilderness at the edge of the eastern mountains. Few dared venture there. The land was known for its unpredictable terrain and the unnatural storms that swept through without warning.
It makes sense the Abyssal Order would hide their work there,
Leona said as they made their way toward the outskirts of Jorvik.
Who'd want to chase them into that death trap?
Us, apparently.
Eira muttered. They were joined by a small group of Jorvik's guards, hand-picked for their experience in navigating dangerous terrain. One of them, a grizzled veteran named Brander, walked beside Eira.
I've been to the edge of the fractured wilds,
He said.
The land's alive there, shifting, breaking apart. It doesn't follow the rules of the rest of the world.
It's worse now.
Eira replied.
The Abyssal Order is using the ley lines to warp the land. Expected to fight us every step of the way.
Brander nodded grimly.
Understood.
By the third day, the group reached the borders of the fractured wilds. The land ahead was as foreboding as the stories had described. The trees gave way to jagged cliffs and deep ravines. The earth cracked and uneven. Strange, shimmering lights danced in the distance, their movements too deliberate to be natural. A low rumble echoed through the air, and the sky darkened as storm clouds gathered. The wind picked up, carrying with it the faint scent of ash and ozone.
This is where people usually turn back,
Brander said, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword.
We're not most people,
Eira replied, stepping forward. Leona groaned.
Why does it always have to be storms?
As they moved deeper into the wilds, the land seemed to shift beneath their feet. Cliffs that appeared solid crumbled without warning, and paths that seemed clear twisted into dead ends. The group's progress was slow, and the tension among the guards grew with every step.
Do you feel that?
One of the guards asked, his voice trembling.
The ground, it's humming.
Eira paused, kneeling to place a hand on the earth. She closed her eyes, focusing on the faint vibration beneath her palm. It was the ley lines, their energy pulsing irregularly, as though in pain.
The corruption's stronger here.
She said, rising up.
We're close to the fragment.
Great.
Leona said.
Let's grab it and get out before the ground eats us.
The group crested a ridge and found themselves overlooking a wide chasm. At its centre stood a ruined structure, its twisted spires reaching skyward like skeletal fingers. Black tendrils of corrupted energy snaked outward from the structure, spreading across the land.
There.
Eira said, pointing to the ruin.
That's where the fragment is.
And the cultists?
Leona added, nodding toward the robed figures moving among the ruins. They carried strange, glowing artifacts and seemed to be constructing something near the chasm's edge. Branda scowled.
Looks like they're building another altar.
Eira nodded.
Then we take it out. We can't let them anchor the corruption any deeper.
The group descended the ridge, moving carefully to avoid detection. Eira led the charge, her sword drawn and her focus sharp. As they reached the edge of the ruins, she signalled for the guards to spread out and flank the cultists. Leona stayed close, her hands gripping a pair of alchemical vials.
Just say the word and I'll blow something up.
Not yet.
Eira said.
We need to get closer.
They crept forward, the sound of the cultists chanting growing louder. The air grew heavier, the whispers from the fragment in Eira's satchel mingling with the voices of the cultists. She shook her head, trying to block it out. At the centre of the ruins, a tall figure stood beside a makeshift altar. They wore a hooded robe adorned with glowing abyssal runes, and their hands crackled with dark energy. The fragment rested on the altar, its glow pulsating in time with the ley lines.
That's our target,
Eira whispered. Leona smirked.
Time to make an entrance?
Eira nodded.
Go.
Leona hurled an explosive vial toward the altar, the blast sending cultists sprawling and shattering part of the structure. Eira and the guards charged in, their weapons cutting through the disoriented cultists. The leader of the cultists recovered quickly, their hands weaving dark sigils in the air. Tendrils of shadow erupted from the ground, striking at Eira and the guards. Eira dodged, her sword slicing through one of the tendrils.
You think you can stop the abyss?
The leader sneered, their voice echoing unnaturally.
The ley lines belong to us now.
Not while I'm breathing.
Eira shot back, driving her blade toward them. As the battle raged, the fragment on the altar began to glow brighter, its energy resonating with the corrupted ley lines. The ground trembled, and a rift opened in the chasm, spewing black mist into the air. Leona threw another vial, the explosion disrupting the cultists' formation.
Eira, that thing's going to blow.
Eira pushed toward the altar, her sword cutting down the last cultist in her path. The leader stepped in front of her, their hands blazing with abyssal fire.
You cannot win,
they said.
The abyss is eternal.
Eira didn't reply. She lunged, her blade slicing through the leader's defenses and driving into their chest. They gasped, their form dissolving into shadow as they fell. With the cultists defeated, Eira approached the altar. The fragment pulsed dangerously, its whispers now a deafening roar. She drew her sword, hesitating for only a moment before driving it into the fragment. The explosion of energy was blinding, the force knocking Eira backward. When the light faded, the fragment was gone, its power dissipated into the ley lines. Branda helped her to her feet.
You did it!
Eira nodded, though her expression remained grim.
One more step. But the order won't stop until they have the heart.
Leona joined her, her usual smirk tempered by exhaustion.
Good thing we're stubborn.
Eira gazed into the distance, where the corrupted glow of the ley lines still lingered on the horizon.
Then let's keep moving. This fight's far from over. Chapter 6. The Price of Shadows.
The ruins of the cult's altar smouldered in the cold light of dawn. The air was thick with the acrid scent of charred stone and dissipating magic. Eira stood at the edge of the chasm, staring down into the dark rift that had opened during the battle. Though the fragment was destroyed, the corrupted energy still lingered, pulsing faintly in the depths below. Branda approached, his weathered face lined with exhaustion.
The ley lines feel quieter, but not clean. Whatever's down there, it's holding on.
Eira didn't turn to face him, her gaze fixed on the shifting shadows in the chasm.
The fragment was just one part of their plan. The order is still out there, and the ley lines are still bleeding.
Leona appeared, wiping soot from her face as she surveyed the wreckage.
Not to mention, we just made a lot of noise. If the Abyssal Order wasn't paying attention before, they definitely are now.
Eira nodded.
We need to move. The next fragment won't wait for us.
As the group prepared to leave the ruins, a faint hum echoed through the air, drawing Eira's attention. She turned sharply, her hand instinctively reaching for her sword.
What now?
Leona muttered, following Eira's gaze. The hum grew louder, a low vibration that seemed to resonate with the earth itself. Then, from the darkness of the chasm, a shape began to emerge. It was faint at first, like a flicker of shadow against the dawn light, but it quickly solidified into a humanoid figure. Its form was indistinct, shifting and writhing as though it were made of smoke. Brander drew his sword.
What in hell's name is that?
Eira stepped forward, her grip tightening on her weapon. The figure raised its head, and for a moment she thought she recognized it. Its movements were oddly familiar, its presence tugging at something deep within her. Eira, the figure whispered, its voice layered with echoes. Her heart skipped a beat.
Vest in us?
The figure's form flickered, its outline barely holding together. The abyss grows stronger. The ley lines call for balance.
Vest in us? What do you mean?
Eira demanded, stepping closer.
How do we stop this?
The figure began to dissolve, its voice fading. The fragments must be united. Only then can the heart be revealed. Eira reached out, but the shadow vanished, leaving only the faint hum of the ley lines behind. Leona let out a low whistle.
Okay, do we all see that? Or do I need to cut back on the explosive fumes?
Brander sheathed his sword, his expression grim.
We all saw it. And if Vest in us is tied to the ley lines like that, he's in trouble.
Eira turned back to the group, her jaw set.
Then we move faster. We find the next fragment and stop the order before it's too late.
Back in their temporary camp, the group regrouped to study the map and decide their next move. The shimmering ley line diagram revealed the remaining fragments' likely locations, each one marked with faint, pulsing light. Leona tapped a spot on the eastern side of the map.
Here. The Glass Mire. It's a swamp known for being miserable, full of poisonous plants, and, oh yeah, the occasional disappearing traveller.
Brander frowned.
The mire isn't just dangerous, it's alive. The ley lines there twist reality. If the Order is there, they'll have every advantage.
They're counting on that.
Eira said.
If it's dangerous for us, it's just as dangerous for them. They're trying to keep us away.
Leona leaned back, folding her arms.
It's a clever trap, I'll give them that. If we go in unprepared, we're dead.
Eira studied the map, her mind racing.
Then we don't go in unprepared. We'll bring enough supplies and magic to counter whatever the Mire throws at us. We've faced worse.
Leona raised an eyebrow.
Have we? Because I'm starting to think the Veilwood was the easy part.
The trek to the Glass Mire was arduous. The terrain grew wetter and more treacherous as they approached, the air thick with humidity and the sickly sweet smell of decay. Strange plants dotted the landscape, their colours unnaturally vivid, as though the ley lines themselves had twisted the flora. The group moved carefully, avoiding the pools of water that dotted the swamp. Each step sank slightly into the ground, the mud clinging to their boots.
This place feels wrong,
Brander muttered, his eyes scanning the dense undergrowth.
It's the ley lines,
Eira said.
The corruption here is worse than we've seen before.
Leona paused to examine a glowing flower, its petals shifting colours in the dim light.
Whatever magic's running through this place, it's not stable. If the Order's working here, they've got to be desperate.
Eira nodded.
Desperate makes them dangerous. Stay sharp.
As they ventured deeper, the swamp began to change. The trees grew taller, their twisted branches forming a dense canopy that blocked out the sun. The air grew colder, and the faint sound of whispers drifted through the undergrowth. Leona stopped suddenly, her hand on her satchel.
Did you hear that?
Brander nodded, his sword already drawn.
Voices. Close.
Eira strained her ears, catching faint, disjointed words. They seemed to come from every direction, echoing off the trees and the water. She gritted her teeth.
It's the ley lines. They're trying to distract us.
As they pressed on, the whispers grew louder, forming coherent sentences. They spoke in voices Eira recognized, her mother, her old companions, even Vestinus.
Eira, you can't save them. No.
Turn back.
The abyss is waiting.
She shook her head, forcing the voices out of her mind.
Don't listen to them.
She called to the group.
They're not real.
Leona snorted.
Easy for you to say. I just heard my dead uncle yell at me for stealing his boots.
Brander tightened his grip on his weapon.
Illusions or not, they're getting in our heads. We need to find the fragment fast.
They reached a clearing in the swamp, where the water was still and unnaturally clear. At its centre stood an ancient stone pillar, its surface etched with abyssal runes. The fragment rested atop it, glowing faintly. But the clearing was not unguarded. As they approached, shadowy figures rose from the water, their forms rippling like liquid. They moved with inhuman grace, their eyes glowing with abyssal light.
More of the Order's creatures.
Eira muttered, drawing her sword.
We take them down, grab the fragment, and get out.
Brander stepped beside her, his shield raised.
Ready when you are.
Leona grinned, pulling out a vial of bright green liquid.
Let's make a splash.
The shadowy figures attacked with unnatural speed, their limbs elongating into sharp, liquid blades. Eira met them head-on, her sword flashing as she parried and struck. Brander moved beside her, his shield absorbing the creature's strikes as he fought to protect the group. Leona stayed at a distance, hurling vials of explosive fire and acidic mist. Each explosion sent waves of energy rippling through the swamp, forcing the creatures to retreat momentarily before reforming.
They just keep coming.
Brander shouted, driving his sword through one of the creatures, only for it to dissolve and reform a moment later.
They're tied to the fragment.
Eira called back.
We have to destroy it.
Eira pushed toward the pillar, cutting through the shadowy figures as they tried to block her path. She reached the fragment, its glow pulsing in time with the creature's movements. The whispers in her mind grew deafening.
Destroy it, and you'll fail.
Leave it and you'll survive.
Eira ignored the voices, raising her sword. With a powerful strike, she shattered the fragment, releasing a wave of energy that dissolved the shadowy figures into mist. The swamp fell silent, the oppressive energy lifting slightly. As the group regrouped, Eira retrieved a piece of the shattered fragment. Its surface was etched with more runes, but these glowed faintly, as though the fragment's power wasn't entirely gone. Leona studied it, her brow furrowed.
This fragment feels different, like it's holding something back.
Eira stared into the swamp, where the shadows lingered on the edge of her vision.
The Order's getting stronger, and we're running out of time.
Brander sheathed his sword, his expression grim.
Then we'd better keep moving.
Eira nodded, her resolve hardening.
To the next fragment. We end this, no matter what it takes. Chapter 7. The Burning Horizon.
The oppressive energy of the glass mire had left its mark on Eira and her companions. Even as they trekked northward, the swamp's shadows lingered in their minds, its whispers trailing them like a phantom. But the air grew thinner as they ascended toward the rocky highlands, and with it came a sense of urgency. The next fragment was waiting, and the Abyssal Order would not be idle. Brander walked beside Eira, his shield strapped securely to his back. His weathered face betrayed his unease.
2 fragments down, but this feels like we're just feeding the beast. If we're not careful, we'll be leading the Abyssal Order straight to the heart.
They already know about it.
Eira replied, her voice steady.
But they can't reach it without all the fragments. We just have to get there first.
And when we do,
Branda asked.
what happens then?
Eira hesitated, her mind drifting back to Vest in Us's spectral warning.
We figure it out when we get there.
As they climbed higher into the highlands, the air grew hotter. The earth beneath their feet cracked and scorched. Patches of flame dotted the landscape, burning without fuel, their glow unnatural and menacing. Leona crouched beside one of the fires, shielding her face from the heat as she examined the charred ground.
This isn't normal fire,
She said.
It's feeding off the ley lines.
The fragment must be here.
Eira said.
We're close.
Branda scanned the horizon, his hand resting on his sword.
If this fire's tied to the fragment, destroying it could destabilize the entire area.
Leona snorted.
Oh, good. Another fragment that wants to kill us. At least it's consistent.
As they pressed forward, they came upon a small village nestled in a rocky valley. The houses were scorched husks, their timbers blackened and crumbling. The air was thick with ash, and the ground was littered with the remains of the villagers, charred skeletons frozen in desperate poses. Branda grimaced, his hand tightening on his sword.
This wasn't just fire. They were consumed.
The fragment's corruption is spreading.
Eira said, her voice grim.
If the Order gets their hands on it, this won't be the last village to fall.
Leona knelt beside one of the skeletons, her brow furrowed.
It's not just the fire. Look at the ground.
She pointed to faint, glowing veins running through the scorched earth.
The ley lines are pushing the corruption outward, like blood pumping through veins.
Eira nodded, her jaw tightening.
Then we have to stop it here.
As they moved deeper into the village, the faint sound of chanting reached their ears. It was low and guttural, carried on the hot wind. Eira raised a hand, signalling for silence, and the group crept forward. At the center of the village stood a massive stone altar surrounded by robed figures. The fragment hovered above it, its glow pulsing like a heartbeat. The cultists chanted in unison, their voices rising as flames danced around them.
They're drawing power from the fragment.
Eira whispered.
They're feeding the corruption.
And if we charge in, they'll burn us alive.
Leona muttered, her hand drifting to her satchel of vials.
Any bright ideas?
Eira studied the scene, her mind racing. The fragment's energy radiated outward, feeding the unnatural fires and strengthening the cultists. If they attacked head-on, they'd be overwhelmed. But if they could disrupt the ritual...
We split up,
Eira said.
Branda, you take the guards and draw their attention. Leona and I will circle around and hit the altar from behind.
Branda frowned.
You sure about this?
We don't have a choice.
Eira said.
We take out the fragment, or they destroy everything.
Branda led the charge, his shield raised as he and the guards stormed into the village square. The cultists turned, their chanting faltering as they raised their hands, summoning waves of flame to block the advance.
Stay together,
Branda shouted, deflecting a fiery strike with his shield.
Don't let them break the line.
Meanwhile, Eira and Leona slipped through the narrow alleys, keeping low as they approached the altar. The fragment's glow grew brighter, the heat searing their skin even from a distance.
This thing's going to blow the moment we touch it.
Leona muttered, pulling a vial from her satchel.
You've got a plan for that, right?
Destroy it before it destroys us,
Eira said, her sword gleaming in the firelight. As they neared the altar, a figure stepped forward from the flames. They were tall and imposing, their robes adorned with intricate abyssal runes. Their eyes burned with an unnatural light, and their voice echoed with power.
You dare defy the abyss?
The leader intoned, their hands igniting with flames.
The ley lines are ours to command. You are nothing but embers waiting to be extinguished.
Eira stepped forward, her sword raised.
You're not taking the ley lines. Not while I'm standing.
The leader laughed, their voice reverberating through the village.
Then let me show you the might of the abyss.
They raised their hands, summoning a towering inferno that surged toward Eira and Leona. Eira dove to the side, her blade cutting through the flames as Leona hurled a vial, the explosion scattering the fire.
You keep them busy.
Leona said, slipping toward the altar.
I'll handle the fragment.
As Eira clashed with the cult leader, Leona reached the altar, the fragment's heat nearly unbearable. The whispers grew louder, drilling into her mind as she prepared a vial of alchemical acid.
Leona, hurry!
Eira shouted, deflecting a fiery strike.
I'm trying.
Leona snapped, her hands shaking as she poured the acid over the fragment. The moment it made contact, the fragment flared with blinding light, and the ground shook violently. The cult leader screamed, their connection to the fragment severed. Flames erupted around them, consuming their form as they dissolved into ash. The fragment shattered, releasing a shockwave that extinguished the unnatural fires and sent Eira and Leona sprawling. When the dust settled, the altar was empty, its power gone. Brander and the guards regrouped, their faces smudged with soot but alive. The village was silent, its scorched remains a grim reminder of the fragment's power. Leona picked up a piece of the shattered fragment, its surface still faintly glowing.
3 down,
she said, her voice heavy.
How many more to go?
Eira stared at the glowing veins beneath the earth, their light dim but still present.
Enough to finish what we started.
Brander approached, his expression grim.
The order won't stop. They'll know we're coming for the next one.
Let them come.
Eira said, her voice cold.
We'll be ready.
Together they turned toward the horizon, where the glow of the next ley line awaited.
Chapter 8. Shadows of Betrayal.
The remnants of the village smouldered behind them as Eira, Brander and Leona pressed forward toward the next fragment. The unnatural heat of the highlands gave way to cooler air as they descended into a vast plain dotted with jagged rocks and gnarled trees. Despite the calmer terrain, the tension between the group was palpable. Leona tossed the faintly glowing fragment between her hands, her movements casual but her expression serious.
3 fragments down, and things aren't getting any easier. Any guesses what the next one will try to throw at us?
Eira glanced at her, her jaw tight.
Whatever it is, we'll face it. Complaining won't make it any easier.
Leona raised an eyebrow.
Not complaining, Commander. Just pointing out that we're walking into trap after trap.
We don't have a choice,
Brander interjected, his voice steady.
The Order's corruption is spreading faster with every fragment. If we stop now, everything we've done will be for nothing.
Leona sighed, slipping the fragment into her satchel.
Fine, but if the next one involves flying shadow beasts, I'm out.
Eira's lips twitched in the faintest hint of a smile.
Noted.
As the group reached the edge of the plain, a figure appeared on the horizon. They were hooded and cloaked, their movements deliberate but unhurried. Brander immediately stepped in front of Eira, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword.
Stay back,
he warned. The figure raised their hands in a gesture of peace.
I mean no harm?
They called, their voice smooth and calm.
I've come to help.
Eira stepped forward, her eyes narrowing.
Who are you?
The figure lowered their hood, revealing a young man with sharp features and piercing amber eyes. His dark hair was streaked with white, and a faint scar ran along his jawline.
My name is Aldrin. I was once a scribe for the Abyssal Order.
Leona barked a laugh.
Oh, great. Another ex-cultist, because the last one we met worked out so well.
Eira ignored her, keeping her gaze locked on Aldrin.
If you're with the Order, why would you help us?
I was with the Order.
Aldrin corrected.
Until I saw what they truly intended. Vaelrik Thorne isn't just corrupting the ley lines, he's using them to summon something far worse.
Eira's stomach twisted at the mention of Thorne. She stepped closer, her voice hard.
What do you mean?
Aldrin hesitated, glancing around nervously.
Not here. If they sense I'm helping you, they'll kill us all. But I know where the next fragment is, and I know how to stop it.
Reluctantly, the group allowed Aldrin to join them, though the tension was thick enough to cut with a blade. As they travelled, he explained what he knew.
The fragments are anchors, yes, but they're also keys.
Aldrin said, his voice low.
When combined, they'll unlock the heart of the ley lines. Thorne intends to use that power to summon the Abyssal Sovereign, an ancient entity bound to the ley line's core.
Leona whistled.
An actual abyssal god. That's worse than I thought.
Branda frowned.
If that's true, why help us? What's in it for you?
Aldrin met his gaze evenly.
I don't want to see the world consumed by shadow. I joined the Order to study the ley lines, not to destroy them. When I realized what Thorne was planning, I left.
And they just let you walk away?
Eira asked, her tone skeptical. Aldrin hesitated.
Not exactly. Let's just say I'm not their favourite person right now.
Eira studied him for a moment, then nodded.
Fine. But if you so much as think about betraying us...
I won't,
Aldrin said quickly.
You have my word.
Leona smirked.
Oh, well, if we've got his word...
Aldrin led them to a hidden canyon, its walls covered in ancient carvings depicting the ley lines and the abyss. At its centre stood a crumbling shrine, its surface covered in glowing runes that pulsed faintly with energy. The air was thick with magic, and the whispers of the fragments grew louder with every step.
The fragment is inside,
Aldrin said, pointing to the shrine.
But it's guarded.
Eira frowned.
Guarded by what?
Aldrin's face darkened.
By the Order's sentinels. They're constructs, bound to the fragment's energy. They'll attack anyone who comes near it.
Perfect.
Leona muttered, pulling a vial from her satchel.
Well, let's not keep them waiting.
As they approached the shrine, the ground began to tremble. A low hum filled the air, growing louder with every step. Then, from the shadows of the shrine, a massive figure emerged. The sentinel was made of black stone, its surface covered in glowing abyssal runes. Its eyes burned with violet light, and its movements were slow but deliberate. It carried a massive hammer, its head crackling with energy.
That's new,
Branda said, drawing his sword. The sentinel roared, the sound reverberating through the canyon. Then it charged. Eira met the sentinel head-on, her blade clashing against its hammer with a deafening crash. Sparks flew as the runes on its body flared, and the force of the impact sent her skidding backward.
Hit it where the runes are brightest,
Aldrin shouted.
That's where its power is concentrated.
Branda flanked the sentinel, his shield absorbing a massive swing from its hammer.
Easier said than done.
Leona hurled an explosive vial at the sentinel's back, the blast shattering part of its armor.
Keep it distracted. I'll take out the legs.
Eira rolled under another swing, her blade striking the sentinel's glowing chest. The runes dimmed slightly, but the creature barely faltered. It raised its hammer, preparing to strike her down. Before it could, Branda slammed into its side, his shield glowing faintly as he absorbed the blow.
Not today.
Leona's vials shattered the sentinel's legs, causing it to collapse with a thunderous crash. Eira climbed onto its back, driving her sword into the brightest rune. The sentinel let out a final roar before crumbling into a pile of stone. The shrine trembled as the fragment's glow intensified. Eira approached cautiously, her sword still drawn. The whispers grew louder, forming disjointed words.
Eira.
Balance.
The heart awaits.
She reached out, her hand closing around the fragment. The whispers stopped, replaced by a heavy silence. As they left the shrine, Aldrin turned to Eira.
The Order knows you're coming for the fragments. They'll be ready for you at the next one.
Let them be ready.
Eira said, her voice cold.
We'll stop them no matter what.
Leona glanced at the fragment in Eira's hand.
Let's just hope we're not playing into their hands.
Branda nodded.
If Thorne is as dangerous as Aldrin says, we'll need more than hope.
Eira stared at the horizon where the glow of the next ley line awaited.
Then we'd better get ready. This fight is just beginning. Chapter 9. The Call of the Heart.
The shattered spire was a fading memory as Eira, Branda, Leona and Aldrin approached the ley line nexus. The closer they came, the more oppressive the air grew. The world seemed to shift around them, the ground rippling like liquid and the sky shimmering with chaotic light.
The heart of the ley lines,
Aldrin said, his voice trembling.
It's far more powerful than I imagined.
Eira tightened her grip on her sword.
And Thorne is already there.
Leona sighed, adjusting her satchel of explosives.
Because of course he is. Can't let us have one easy win.
Branda glanced at Eira, his voice calm but firm.
We've fought through everything he's thrown at us. We'll face this too.
Eira nodded.
We don't stop until it's over.
As they approached the nexus, the terrain grew increasingly surreal. Crystalline structures jutted from the ground at impossible angles, glowing faintly with ley line energy. Ahead, a massive stone gate stood, carved with runes that pulsed like a heartbeat. Aldrin stopped, his gaze fixed on the gate.
The heart is beyond this. But the ley lines won't allow us to pass without a test.
Leona groaned.
Another test? Can't the universe just trust us by now?
Before anyone could respond, the ground cracked, and shadows erupted from the fissures. Humanoid figures formed from writhing mist surrounded them, their glowing eyes fixed on the group. Eira raised her blade.
Then we prove ourselves.
The shadowy figures attacked in waves, their movements unnaturally fluid and erratic. Eira led the charge, her sword glowing faintly as she struck down the nearest attacker. The creature dissolved into mist, but more rose in its place.
They're testing our resolve,
Aldrin shouted, casting sigils that struck down another shadow.
We can't falter.
Branda stood firm, his shield absorbing blow after blow.
We're not faltering.
Leona hurled an explosive vial into the mass of shadows, the blast scattering them momentarily.
Then let's hurry this up before they test my patience.
The group fought with precision and determination, their coordination sharpening with every wave. Slowly the shadows thinned, their forms flickering as the heart's light grew brighter. Finally, the last shadow dissolved, and the gate rumbled open. The group stepped into a massive cavern where the ley lines converged in a swirling vortex of light and shadow. Suspended above a glowing pool of energy was the heart, its presence overwhelming. The ley lines fed into it, pulsing with chaotic power. Vaelrik Thorne stood on a stone platform near the heart, his violet eyes blazing with energy. Tendrils of light and shadow connected him to the heart, and his smile was cold and triumphant.
You've done well to get this far,
he said, his voice echoing through the cavern.
But it's over. The heart has chosen me.
Eira stepped forward, her blade raised.
The heart belongs to no one. And you won't use it to destroy Veldrith.
Thorne laughed, the sound filled with dark amusement.
Destroy it? No, Eira. I'll perfect it. The ley lines will bend to my will, and the abyss will reshape this broken world.
Leona rolled her eyes.
Another monologue. Guess we're really at the final boss now.
Thorne raised a hand and the cavern trembled.
Enough talk. Face the will of the abyss.
Thorne unleashed a surge of energy, forcing the group to scatter. Eira charged forward, her blade glowing as she struck at him. Sparks flew as her sword clashed with a barrier of shadow surrounding him.
You cannot stop the inevitable,
Thorne sneered, his hands weaving sigils in the air. Tendrils of energy lashed out, striking at Eira and Branda. Branda intercepted one of the tendrils with his shield, bracing against the impact.
We've stopped you before. We'll do it again.
Leona hurled a vial, the explosion disrupting Thorne's barrier.
You're not the first megalomaniac we've dealt with, pal.
Aldrin stood near the edge of the cavern, tracing sigils in the air.
I can sever his connection to the heart, but it will take time.
Then hurry!
Eira shouted, dodging another strike. As Aldrin worked, the heart began to react violently. Streams of energy erupted from it, striking the walls and ground. The cavern shook, and cracks formed beneath their feet.
The heart is rejecting Thorne,
Aldrin called out.
but it's destabilizing the ley lines.
Eira faced Thorne, her voice cold.
You've lost, Thorne.
Thorne's form flickered, but he laughed, the sound filled with malice.
Lost. You've done exactly what I needed. The heart is open, and the ley lines are mine.
Before he could unleash another attack, the air in the cavern shifted. A brilliant crimson light flared from the ley lines, and a familiar figure stepped into the chamber. Vest Innes emerged from the light, his crimson skin glowing faintly, and the veins of the ley lines traced across his form like living runes. His black hair was windswept, his expression calm, yet commanding. Thorne faltered, his eyes narrowing.
Impossible.
Vest Innes stepped forward, his gaze locked on Thorne. The heart doesn't belong to you, Vaelrik, and neither do the ley lines.
Vest Innes.
Eira breathed, her voice filled with awe and disbelief. He glanced at her, a faint smile tugging at his lips. You've done well, Eira, but the fight isn't over yet. Thorne snarled, his power surging.
You are nothing but a remnant of the past. I am the future.
Vest Innes raised his hand, and the ley lines responded, their energy flaring as they severed Thorne's connection to the heart. You are a blight, and you will be undone. With Vest Innes's guidance, the group rallied. Eira fought alongside him, her blade striking true as Vest Innes wielded the power of the ley lines to disrupt Thorne's remaining defences. Branda and Leona kept the heart's unstable energy at bay, ensuring it didn't collapse entirely. Thorne's form flickered as the heart rejected him fully.
You think this is victory?
He roared.
The abyss is eternal!
Vest Innes raised his hand and the ley lines surged. Not today! With a final burst of energy, Thorne's form dissolved into shadow, his power consumed by the heart. The cavern fell silent, the oppressive weight lifting. The heart pulsed gently, its energy calm and stable for the first time. Vest Innes approached it, his expression thoughtful. The heart is at peace, he said. The ley lines will heal, but their balance will always be fragile. Eira stepped forward, her voice steady.
Then we'll protect it. Together.
Vest Innes turned to her, his crimson eyes soft. You've proven yourself more than capable, Eira. The heart recognized that long before I returned. Leona wiped her brow, her smirk returning.
So, we save the world, bring back the long-lost hero and survive. I'll take that as a win.
Branda nodded, his shield resting at his side.
Veldrith owes you both a great debt.
Vest Innes inclined his head. The fight may be over, but the work is just beginning. The group emerged from the cavern into the light of dawn. The ley lines pulsed softly beneath their feet, their energy flowing freely once more. Eira glanced at Vest Innes, her expression thoughtful. What now? Vest Innes looked out at the horizon. You rebuild, and you remain vigilant. The abyss is not gone, it never will be. But as long as there are those willing to fight for balance, Veldrith will endure. Sadly, I cannot stay. I'm bound to the ley.
No, don't go.
I must. Vest Innes' form dispersed into mist, which flowed into the ley lines, making them sparkle with silvery hue. In a moment he was gone. Leona, Eira, and Branda passed a look between them. Together they walked toward the horizon, their resolve stronger than ever. The heart was safe, and the future of Veldrith shone brightly once more.
Thank you for listening to the Tales of Veldrith. Books 1 through 5 are now available on Kindle and in paperback. Visit mattytaylor.com for links.